the Jim K. Ford Sens Nation podcast.
Alongside the old Senator Hot Stove, it is the Jim K. Ford Sens Nation podcast. My name is Steve Warne, along with the coach, Gregg Kennedy. Last time we got together, things have worsened since then. Let's put it that way. The captain is out for 6 to 8 weeks. They get bombed in Buffalo. They did take a win over Seattle, a close one, and Coach Travis Green was as critical, I think, as I've ever seen him of his team. He wasn't seething or anything like that. He's a normal, calm self, but volunteered a lot of criticisms of his team, maybe more than I've heard him ever since taking over a couple of years ago as Sens head coach. So lots to get to today, including some news that just broke that Merilainen is going down to the minors. Matt Sogard is coming up. Greg, how are you today?
I'm all right, Steve. It's a Sunday morning, and I've got my morning voice. I think I'm having a bad hair day, but you know what? I'm here for the team, buddy. I'm here for the team.
Yeah. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it on Saturday, and I decided that that I'd probably after that game, that loss, the collapse, the three collapses. They had three leads, blew them all, and lost in the final minute on a really ugly goal, so sloppy that I said to myself, I think let's just get sleep on this one, because it is still only 6 games into the season, and I fear that I'll go off like they just lost a heartbreaking game in the Stanley Cup final here. So I wanted to have perspective. So we decided to do it on Sunday morning, and yes, it's a little rough today. Why don't we start this way?
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I
No,
was
no.
going to say something there. Well, you would use you'd use the words Travis Green and seething in the same sentence as a couple of a minute or two ago, and that was me last night or late afternoon, whatever, for the Saturday game. With a minute 49 to play, I'm like, what are you doing? I was seething at Travis Green watching the end of the game against the Islanders.
Because of the personnel choices.
Oh my God. Well, the irony is, of course, I'm a Blue Jay fan, fully admit it. We all watched John Schneider, eighth, you got 2 innings left. You're up by a run. Okay. One of your best pitchers gets the 7th or the 8th inning, and the other of your best pitchers gets the 9th. But no, he didn't do that. Okay. So now here we are, like less than 48 hours later, watching the Senators, a minute 49 to play. So essentially 2 shifts left in a game that's tied in the third period, and you get a timeout. You have a timeout in a hockey game, and he put out for that face-off at center ice under 2 minutes to play. He put out Clevin and Spence. I was in shock. I'm like, what are you doing? To me, you identify your 2 best defensive pairs, neither of which would be Clevin and Spence, and one of them gets half the rest of the game, the other one gets the other half. Or you could even get away with one pair for the final minute 49 by using a timeout. You'll get a clear, there'll be a whistle. They're not going to play straight through 2 minutes of hockey. I was seething at the television, like, what are you doing? I felt sorry for Spence and Clevin. Yes, Spence got knocked off a puck, wasn't strong enough on it, and Anders Lee took it from him. But you put him in that situation. That's a situation you normally wouldn't put him in. You avoid putting him in places like that where he can fail. And I thought it was terrible coaching decision in the final 2 minutes of a 1-goal game on home ice when you're slumping and you really need the point.
And you'd been blowing leads the whole game. They had leads. Sens had leads at home of 2-0. Then it was 3-2, 4-3, and blew them each time. And so after you've blown 3 leads, now you're in a situation where let's lock this thing down. Let's get that point. Mm-hmm. Make sure you get that point. But it did not happen. And Travis Green was not very happy. Like I say, of all the news conferences I've seen him do, and I've seen him do many, he does not offer more than he needs to. He can be curt with the media. He's generally pretty calm, and he was after Saturday night's 5-4 loss to the New York Islanders. But in terms of actual criticisms of various parts of his team's game, I don't think I've ever heard him as critical as he was here. So this is the clip of Travis Green after the game on Saturday night, a very frustrated coach.
Disappointing for starters. Thought our game got too loose when we had the lead, and a lot of things that we took pride in last year that we were good. We weren't good tonight in.
What do you see those momentum shifts coming back to bite you here a little bit? And I know you really softened the blow in the second half last year.
What do you mean by momentum shifts?
Well, you score, and then 82 seconds later they score, and it happened a couple of times.
Yeah, that's part of the game. They're going to score some goals, but it's how do you keep momentum? How do you stop momentum? How do you keep a lead? How do you play with a lead? What's your mindset? Are you cheating for offense? Are you cheating, or are you on the right side of the puck? There's a certain style of play that we want. There's been a lot of talk about creating more offense, but it does not mean cheating for offense. And that part of our game is not tight right now. Yep.
When you talk about things that you took pride in last year, didn't seem to execute this week. What do you?
Now listen to this.
Yeah, we're on the wrong side of the puck. We're making hope plays, or we're not making hard plays, loose passes, losing puck battles in certain areas of the rink, joining the rush when maybe there's no time to join, different things like that, making a play inside the blue line when it's not the time or place, or you have the lead. You keep making a team come 200 feet and create offense with your forecheck. That's when we're a good hockey team, and we did a lot of good things tonight. I think we created 18 to 20 chances, 5-on-5. But, I thought our mindset was a little bit loose and should have closed that game out. It's probably a different story if we get into overtime and it's 4-4. Whether you win or lose, it hurts that we didn't get a point tonight. And I think our game's a little sloppy right now. But I think you can say that about a lot of games in the NHL for the first 6 to 10 games. But if we weren't sloppy, we'd probably have a better record right now.
So there's Travis Green in conversation with the media, that clip courtesy of the Ottawa Senators. And I counted 9 different pretty hard critiques of his team, some of them pretty damning, like things like, not just too loose, but soft plays, things like that. And really, this team seemed to develop an identity last season. And right now, for the first 6 games, generally speaking, they've lost a lot of them.
Yeah, I think they just lockdown is the biggest thing, like locking things down through the neutral zone. Not just locking it down when you've got the lead in a game, but I'm talking about locking a team down. Get a puck in deep and don't let them, or force them to take it 200 feet. Don't let them skate up the ice and do what they want. Like I go to the Kyle Palmieri goal, watching Matthew Barzal just kind of weave his way through the neutral zone with speed. It's simple things, right? It's getting pucks out of your own zone, chipping pucks out. It's the blue line play, offensive blue line, defensive blue line. You're a team right now that's giving up a lot of goals, so you can't afford to give up a lot of scoring chances, and you can't afford to give up a lot of offensive zone time. And those 3 things are locked automatically, linked automatically. So you need to avoid defensive zone time. You need to avoid odd man rushes. You need to avoid all those things that lead to shots on net and scoring chances. And so far they have not done anywhere near a good enough job. And there's the record to show for it.
Green said there at the end of that clip that it's common in the first 6 to 10 games to have this level of sloppiness. And I don't know whether you agree with that or not, but we did get one of the good listeners chiming in right after the game, and I want to read it because I think this is a concern that's a lot of people share right now at the moment. Again, it's only 6 games in, and I try to keep everything in perspective, but I don't know. There's some things here that are concerning in the whole trend spotting side of things. So this is Gary. Mm-hmm. He sent a note. There are so many things to fix that even though it is early, I'm not sure this team has the ability to do it. Linus Ullmark can make a great save but plays deep on the goal line so often. The defense is still so soft. Shabbat falls every time he tries to play the body. Zetterlund seems to be an overpaid 4th liner. The goalie looks slow. The PK not great. Power play needs to be better. They give up so many breakaways and odd man rushes. Backup goalie struggling. It's not good. So there's I think what you call the most hysterical of Sens fans. Where are you at right now on how close we should be just 6 games into an 82-game season and hitting the panic button?
Yeah. Well, I think on the positive side, there have been stretches where they've looked like their old selves. For stretches of the Islander game, they certainly looked like their old selves. For large stretches of the opening game, the Tampa game, they looked like themselves. For large portions of the Nashville game. So it's just a matter of, I think right now, it's more a matter of doing what you're supposed to do on a consistent basis for longer periods of time. I agree there are a lot of things that need to be fixed, but they're isolated into, there's sort of a big picture that comes down to thinking defensive minded first, thinking of being on the right side of the puck, thinking of being in the right place at the right time. And if you narrow down on those three little things, it almost takes care of all the other things that were just pointed out to us. I think the biggest one that concerns me is goal scoring. And yesterday, okay, they seem to score some goals yesterday, so maybe that's coming along. That to me is going to be the biggest bugaboo all year long. As far as the record goes, they're 2-4. Okay, if you are 6-4 after 10, are you okay? So they're really only a 3 or 4 game win streak away from being half decent. The question is, can they do it? And yeah, to his point, I don't know. There's a lot to fix there beyond simple things. It's all big picture stuff. It's all mental stuff in my mind so far, anyway.
But it is possible. Maybe that's we always talk about mid-season form and rounding into playoff form. It's early in the season, and there are teams right now that are killing it. Like I think Detroit and Montreal got off to 4-1 starts, for example. There are teams that are, coming out of the gate well. And so I don't know how that happens. If it is that it's, scuffling out of the gate, then I wonder maybe this is a young team that believes that because they made the playoffs, that things will start happening. When in fact, I think it's completely the opposite. You made the playoffs, so now you're not sneaking up on anybody. It's going to be even harder to make the playoffs this year than it was last year.
Yeah, like the mental side of it, they can't afford to be comfortable. I'm sure there's a good chunk of them with a percentage of their brain or their mind at least thinks, all right, we're going to be in the playoffs again. Can we just get there? When do they start? Can we get to the playoffs now? Like, go through all this crap so we can get there. That happens. But at a certain point in a slump, if you want to call it that, well, I guess it is a slump. At a certain point, you got to snap out of that and realize, oh, wait a minute, you know what? We do have work to do. I disagree with this idea that, this time of year, lots of teams are struggling or scuffling and, teams are trying to find their game. That's not good enough. That's not an excuse this team can afford to use. We all know what's happened here in the past with bad starts. They can't afford it. You just named it, Detroit and Montreal. Like, you're trying to make the playoffs and you've got teams around you. The teams below you have improved. Like, even Boston doesn't look terrible some nights. Like, it's a tough division. It might be the toughest in the NHL. You can't afford to be falling much further behind than this. You really need to reel off 2 or 3 or even 4 or 5 games in a row with some wins and get your game straightened out here, because you get much further behind, you could be in serious trouble for the whole rest of the way.
Let's talk a little bit about Celebrate, a great sponsor of our program. I think that the people would be interested in knowing that this is a truly local company. I'd love to hear I'd love to hear about the backstory and how it all came together.
Sure. Well, it started, as a lot of companies do, we're just solving a problem, and I didn't really mean to, but that biannual climb up the ladder to put up and take down the Christmas lights is, a pain point for a lot of people. And for me in particular, it was doing the second floor of our house. And my wife one year asked me, do the second floor this year. And typically I would just do over the garage and call it a day. I figured there was probably a better way. And I had a background in product design. So I kind of put my mind to it and came up with this idea to just mount it in a track and leave it up year round. Because I also didn't want to be that guy that just puts them up and then leaves them hanging. And, after 2 years, they're all ratty and falling apart, right? So anyways, we came up with this just to solve our own problem. And we weren't really thinking company at the time. But then people started knocking on the door, and all of a sudden my spidey sense went off, like, people actually want this product, right? So we put our mind to it, and we actually started Celebrate at that point and started selling the product. It's just kind of taken off from there. It's been a great response from everyone.
It's a great product. I have it now, and I love it on the house. And it's not just for Christmas, right? It's a neat thing in that whatever mood strikes you, whatever holiday's hitting, it's all stuff you can control from your smartphone.
Yeah, it definitely started as a holiday product, but one of the cool things in just seeing this product evolve and how people use it is seeing how our customers use it and talking to them and seeing all the cool ways, like stuff we never even thought of, right? And it's really become this outdoor lighting, ecosystem, right? So we now can kind of do your whole outdoor space. One of the things that I've found really cool is how people are using it for like automations. So it's part of the smart home ecosystem. So people have figured out, you can have it when your Ring doorbell, for example, detects motion, you can turn on the lights on your porch, stuff like that, right? So it's become part of this IoT world where, lots of really simple things can add together to do really powerful stuff. And just seeing the things that people come up with and how they use it's been really interesting.
The whole thing's been interesting, and it's a great local success story. They're right here in Canada, and Dan, we really appreciate you joining us. It's Dan Junkins, everybody. He's the founder and CEO of Celebrite Inc., and now back to the show. So what do you think of the tactic that Travis Green used there? Like I say, it's unusual for him to be that critical. And again, he wasn't fire and brimstone. He wasn't ranting and raving. Those of you who are watching on YouTube saw his demeanor. You could tell there's probably a bit of his psyche that's a little upset after that loss and giving away 2 points, or at least one like that. But he wasn't going bananas or anything like that. But there was a lot of pointed criticisms in there. And I think more often than not, those are strategic. He probably said, I'm gonna light into the guys a little bit here. What do you think of that tactic at this stage of the game, 6 games in?
Well, I think first of all, there was nothing he said there to the media that he didn't say in the room to the players. He didn't surprise any of the players, right? And he didn't name any individuals. You might say he named a group joining the rush when maybe you don't have time for it. That's sort of aimed at probably only 2 or 3 of the defensemen. But other than that, nothing was specific. I think it was perfectly well timed. You've got a day off today, and then you've got to practice on Monday. He's kind of given the players something to think about on their day off, and he's given the players some pre-prep. Yeah, prep or pre-prep for Monday's practice. Like you come to work on Monday. We got some things to do here, and it's going to be a tough one come Monday. So this is a man who knows that his team isn't playing today. Like if they were playing a game today, I think it would have been a different message, or the same message maybe delivered a different way, or the same message delivered just to the players and not to the media. He knows what's going on with his schedule with this team, and how a message is going to sit with his players and give them time to think about it. And yeah, the fact that today's a day off and tomorrow's just a practice day, I think played a huge factor in the timing of this delivery.
Yeah, I think it's a case of there's been so much positivity around the team through training camp. Even on this podcast, I've said I believe they're a Stanley Cup contender. One of the most common phrases I've heard when describing the Sens in their seasonal previews, I've heard people say things very commonly like they're poised to take the next step. And I think that this was a message from Travis Green, like we need to get something out there, to maybe knock these guys down a peg right now, because poised to take the next step. Right now, you're not even taking the step you took last year. So yeah, I think that there was a real strategy behind it to get that message out there in the public that nothing's going to be given to you. You need to do these things just to get back to where you were last year. Let's focus on that for the time being. And so, yeah, I definitely think there was strategy behind it and not just a frustrated coach speaking all willy-nilly at the end of a tough loss. I want to ask you about the goal that cost them, though, specifically in the coaching breakdown of things. Jordan Spence, and you mentioned you had a problem with the deployment, putting Clevin and Spence out there with about 1:40 left, and with about 1:03 left is when it all went down. Basically, it was such an innocent-looking play as the puck was kind of half dumped into the Ottawa zone. Jordan Spence goes back on retrieval, and at that stage, you could see there like 2 or 3 of the forwards went off for a change, and you had I guess it was Jake Sanderson that had jumped onto the ice in a change. He peeled away from the situation just assuming that Spence had everything going on, and Anders Lee just came back, took the puck off of him, just physically overwhelmed him, and went in and scored on Ullmark. What did you think of the mechanics of that play?
Well, I thought Jordan Spence has to make a better decision there, right? Like he's going back to retrieve a partial dump in. There's pressure on. So, okay, the first rule is change the point of attack. The puck needs to get away from that pressure that's coming. The easiest play in the world would have been a, excuse me, a D-to-D pass, like a bank pass off the backboards over to his partner. Partner wasn't really in sight at the beginning, but a quick peek, a shoulder check tells you, uh-oh, Anders Lee is coming. But the shoulder check isn't just to identify the forechecking threat, the other guys, the bad guys. The shoulder check is also to identify where's my support, and all of his support was on the far side of the ice. Defensemen coming on, forwards coming on. So to me, the simplest, easiest play was skate south. Keep going back in your own zone with control of the puck. You've got speed. He probably could have outraced Anders Lee around the net and out the other side if he had to. But the even easiest play was take a step or two and then bank it off the backboards behind the net, out the other sides, across the ice to your partner, up the wall and out. Like you're out of the zone. He made a bad decision at a bad time. That was my read on it. I mean, but then again, of course, I think you called me the president of the Jordan Spence fan club or number one fan or whatever. I thought the guy looked great in Buffalo. You know, he suddenly got shifts with Sanderson. He was +3 in a game they lost way worse than 3. He was +3 and had 3 points. And I thought he's coming along and looking good. And then he got put on the ice in a bad situation and made a bad choice. Poor decision, plain and simple.
I thought he had a good game overall. I just, there was one moment where it was a really nice play where he's in a bunch of traffic down in his own zone around the goal line, and he ended up beating a player by just really casually and skillfully knocking it off the end boards to basically beat the forechecker, and then picking it up as it was really skilled and really cool under pressure. So I like that part of his game. In terms of puck movement, I think right now, save for Jake Sanderson, Jordan Spence is as good as any defenseman they have right now. It was just a tough play, and mine was all body position. That if I'm chiming in on
Protect
it, I'm
puck.
going over. Yeah, and it's just if you're gonna get beat, make him beat you on the outside where you still have a chance to get back in the play. When you leave the puck available to Anders Lee there, who's a way bigger man than you are, you leave the puck there available on the inside, you got nothing. You're done. And so he gets beat badly there and looked really, really bad on that play. And I didn't think honestly, Linus Ullmark looked much better. Lee comes in and he does this weird spinorama, but he's in so tight at that stage on Ullmark that really he's only got one play. Like at that stage, Ullmark is in a good position and then suddenly opens up just in time for Lee to do this little spinorama to cram it between his pads. I didn't see the need for him to be opening up on that play. So Ullmark's been a funny one. Like there are moments, like he made a save in the game against the Islanders against J.G. Pajot early on that was absolutely fabulous. But he just runs so hot and cold for this team right now. I'm not sure what to expect from Ullmark in 2025-26.
And that brings us to the goaltending change made today, which kind of surprised the two of us. And we think we figured out the reasoning behind it, haven't we? Have we got it straightened out now? We think we know what's going on?
Yeah, so the news is that Levi Merilainen on Sunday morning got sent down to the minors. He's been loaned to Belleville, and Mads Sogard is coming up. The initial thought you have is, have they given up on Levi Merilainen as the backup of this team and want to go to Sogard instead? After just one start, yeah, he got shelled for sure in Buffalo, 8-4. I've never seen so many funky bounces, honestly. There was at least 3 of those goals that were absurd bounces. But is that what they've done? Have they given up on him as a backup at this early stage and go to Sogard, who has maybe a little more NHL experience, though not much? Yeah, I mean, it was your theory, and I think it's a good one. Belleville plays today, and they want to get Merilainen a game probably before his next start.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Like we sat here and went back and forth. We thought, okay, maybe it's a money saving move. You can't paper a guy down anymore. You actually have to replace him on the roster, and somebody's got to leave, somebody's got to come in. I'm not sure how they exactly go about making sure that you're doing it legitimately, but you're not allowed to paper a guy anymore. So he actually has to go. That the savings is about $300,000 between their 2 salaries. Not a big deal. They don't play again till Tuesday. Sogard's stats are not great. What, a 864 save percentage. So I think, yeah, the reasoning is, and of course it could be proven wrong within less than 24 hours, but I think Merilainen is going to play today for Belleville. And that's why he's gone down. And come Tuesday, it'll still be Ullmark because you got 2 days off between games. So Ullmark is going to play on Tuesday, so he's still not going to get a start then. But you send him down and give him a chance to play a game for Belleville today.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to start at some point next week, and for sure. I mean, this is theory, so maybe Sogard's the new backup, but I don't think that could be the case after a one game like that. You don't make a decision. I mean, Steve Stais had already anointed the guy as the backup over the summer, and Travis Green was a little more coy about it. But okay, we go through the process, and Merilainen won the job after one game with a lot of quirky bounces. Yeah, he didn't have his best game on top of that, granted, but after just one game, I just don't see a professional organization making a rash decision like that. It's almost certainly that, in our opinion, but time will tell. The Belleville Sens play on Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. The podcast should be up by then, I would hope, but we shall see on that too.
Yeah, we have to edit this out.
Yeah, maybe. So that's the probable game plan. There was also some shuffling up and down with Belleville in that Arthur Kaliev is already up. Failed to make the team out of camp. Ole Lycksell kind of gets one of those 13th, 14th forward spots. Lycksell got sent down, and then Brady Tkachuk, we learn, is now on injured reserve, out 6 to 8 weeks. We'll talk more about that in a moment and what that loss will mean. But Lycksell was sent down this week shortly after Kaliev was called up, and I thought Kaliev has looked not bad, but what do you think of him getting such an early call-up?
It kind of threw me. I was wondering what they were going to do. But you've got to replace Brady, but then you send down Lycksell too. But of course, Batherson comes back. So Batherson comes in to replace Tkachuk. Did you really need to make another move? I didn't mind Lycksell at all. I thought he looked just fine. To me, the one guy who maybe should be replaced or should be the one guy on the bubble in the early going anyway is Nick Cousins. I just haven't seen too much out of him. I thought Lycksell looked good in preseason. I thought he looked good in games he played, in the limited minutes he saw. Kaliev, it's not like he went down the American League and he's ripping it up. Like maybe they're looking for an Adam Gaudette kind of situation. We sent you down early, although Gaudette didn't even play any games, but we sent you down, we call you back up, and now you're ready to catch fire up here. He's so big, but he looks so darn slow, doesn't he, Steve? He looks wider than he should look. He looks like he's got a goaltender's upper protection on under that jersey. He looks so big and slow. But apparently, he's got this great shot. Let's see if he can produce some offense, because they're certainly going to need somebody to pick up the slack and score some goals to make up for the loss of Brady.
Yeah, I think if he's going to stay in the NHL, he needs to be with relatively skilled players, because honestly, he's not going to drive a line, but he's got some skill. And I thought at moments in the Islander game, he looked pretty good alongside Tim Stützle. It's been kind of a jambalaya as Travis Green goes trying to figure things out with the absence of Brady Tkachuk. So that's been interesting to see Kaliev up in the NHL, and whether he stays long remains to be seen. But obviously it's an organization that has great faith in Kaliev based on what he did back in the junior days. Steve Stais knows all about the skill, all about the player, and so they're going to give him a test drive here for a while. But he got his first point in the game against the Islanders, so off and running. Also on the roster front, the Sens, with the return to health of Tyler Kleven, and it seems like this is an organization that wants to go with the one extra forward, one extra D. There's an option to carry another player on top of that at the 23-man roster limit, but they seem to want to go one of each. And so with the return of Tyler Kleven and the return to health, they decided to put Donovan Sebrango on waivers, presumably for the purpose of sending him down to Belleville. But the Florida Panthers had other ideas. They just saw him a few days earlier in the beatdown last Saturday down in Florida. And obviously, kind of liked what they saw. They put in a claim for Donovan Sebrango, who is now a member of the Florida Panthers, because they've got Kaliev, who's out for, 5 months with wrist surgery. So they bring Sebrango in probably to be their seventh man, And that kind of changes what's already some pretty thin depth of the left side on the blue line for Ottawa.
Yeah, your left side depth now is Jorian Donovan, Thomas Hamara, and is it Scott Harrington?
Yep.
Is that his first name? Yeah, Scott. Yeah. So that's it. Those are your left shot D in Belleville. I mean, you had to make a move. It had to be somebody, and it wasn't going to be Matt and Paolo. It wasn't going to be Clevin. Obviously, he just came back. It wasn't going to be Spence. So it had to be Sabrango, and it's just a bad luck timing, I think. Think of it. Where's Florida in the standings? Like, where would their pick have been as far as a waiver claim goes if it got all the way to Florida before he got claimed? Because it goes in reverse order of the standings, right? So you almost got him through, but early season injuries, well, you're making shuffling changes in your lineup. Other teams are looking to make shuffle changes in their lineup too, and the right guy at the wrong guy at the right time, or the right guy at the wrong time, however you want to look at it. It didn't work out in their favor to try to sneak him through.
Couple of other things as we start to land the old plane. Shane Pinto continues to score. And he had another opportunity. He scored against the Islanders, his 7th goal of the year. And we're just 6 games deep, obviously. And I think the broadcast said he is the first Ottawa Senator to get that many goals in the first 6 games. Right. And he also has an opportunity on a penalty shot. I found it interesting that on Thursday night, after the game, Shane Pinto confessed to the media that his go-to move in the shootout was, because he scored the shootout winner, was low glove side, just above the left pad. And then on a night where Ilya Sorokin is getting absolutely torched in that very spot, like 3 straight goals, he decides he's going to go that way again. I just wonder if Sorokin has got that one completely labeled as in, like, I know exactly what Shane Pinto is going to try and do here, whether it was the public commentary or based on what the Sens had been doing all game long. You could see they were trying to go to that area, and that's where Pinto went, and Sorokin made what looked like the easiest save of all time.
Yeah, I don't know what was the bigger mistake, going for that spot or telling people that that's your go-to spot 2 days before you get this chance. It's like, yeah, my out pitch to that guy is the slider down and in. And then up comes the game. What are you going to do? I'm going to throw a slider down and in. Like, everybody knows what's going to happen. You've told the guy your go-to spot. Like, did you really have to say that? Or did whoever print it really have to print it? Like, he just gave it all away. But then again, the way he's been playing, I'm surprised that even with the goalie knowing it's coming, and he couldn't score. Because let's face it, the guy's got a magic touch so far, which would put the puck in the net, and it's needed desperately. We need him to score about 50 to make up for Brady's goals. We need other people to score goals too, more than their regular pace too. So good on the kid for being in the front here and leading this team and scoring some goals. The other thing that's nice is that Pinto's not scoring these goals by shuffling around and screwing up the Stützle, Giroux or Stützle, whoever combination. He's doing it with his regular line mates where he'd be playing no matter what. So it gives you an opportunity to try some other people out, playing with Stützle, playing with Giroux. That we saw Stützle, Batherson, Cousins. The fact that Pinto's doing what he's doing, playing with the guys he's playing with, to me is a big plus here, because it gives you that opportunity to find somebody else somewhere else to fill in for Brady.
Let me ask you this about a potential rule change. So Pinto's got that breakaway, and Matthew Schaefer tries to chase him down, and he really had no shot at getting that puck. He's trying to get the puck, and so there's no malicious intent or anything like that. But he dives and tries to sweep at the puck, and all he succeeds in doing is taking Shane Pinto down while he's skating at absolute full speed. The NHL, Gregg, completely changed the icing rule to prevent these, full speed end of boards collisions, because guys are fighting for a puck, trying to win a face-off. They decide, okay, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're just gonna call it dead. Whoever gets to that face-off dot first, that's who will win the icing battle, basically. And so I don't know what the solution is, but I'm thinking to myself that play again. I don't think there's obviously nothing malicious there. He's trying to play hockey. It's a hockey play, but at the same time, it's reckless. Like Pinto's going full blast and then you trip him while he's going full blast like that. He goes into the goal post. Everybody's going, oh my God, he just hurt his arm or something like that. I almost feel like there should be something greater than a 2-minute minor for that particular play.
Wow. You want a minor and a penalty shot?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, the NHL has talked about wanting to increase goal scoring and, I don't know that they've talked about it, but internally I think they'd love to see goal scoring up. And I don't know what the solution is. The solution is, give the players more opportunities to score goals. I thought you were going with the Senators should be allowed to decline the penalty shot in that situation because they're shorthanded. They should decline the penalty shot, let their guy come back from the box or something, figure out some other way to do something there. But no, that's maybe a penalty and a penalty shot. That's out there, Steve. But that if it's 5-on-5 and I've got a breakaway and you take me down, I get a power play and a penalty shot. That'd be pretty cool. That might increase goal scoring. Something to think about, something to look at, maybe. But not in this league. That might take 15 years for somebody to make that decision to allow that to happen in this league.
Yeah, it's such a dangerous play when it goes down like that, and I don't know. Just throwing that out there. A couple of other things before we wrap up here. We mentioned Brady Tkachuk already. Since we last got together, we found out that it was a thumb. It was a thumb surgery that he had this past week in New York City, and he's going to be lost to the team for 6 to 8 weeks. All we knew last time we got together was that it was maybe a hand or a wrist. Turns out it's a thumb, and he either obviously got it pinched or got it bent back, and the latter would probably be my better guess. But, Tkachuk, 6 to 8 weeks, the absence there is, I don't know, do you think there's a little shock to the system? Maybe that's part of why we've seen a team kind of scuffling as they adjust to life without their unquestioned leader?
It's going to be tough, huh? It's going to be really, really tough for this team. Like we've talked all summer long about this. They didn't really make any changes. They didn't really bring anybody in, other than periphery. The whole idea was that this team was going to get better just on the basis of maturation and growth and development of the existing players. And now you've lost one of those existing players, arguably the best all around of your players. And you got Timmy off to a slow start. There's all kinds of things contributing here, but Brady being out is really going to contribute to the floundering on the ice until they get their crap together or find some sort of solution.
All right, yes or no? Are the Blue Jays going to be in the World Series next time we speak?
I say yes, Steve. I believe that they're going to win today. They're going to win Monday. It's no problem. But as big a Blue Jay fan as I am, how about Shohei the other night? My God, Blue Jay game was over. I flipped over and started watching that Dodger game. Wow, what a performance for the ages. I'll be talking to my grandkids about that one.
No doubt. I'm old enough to have remembered Reggie Jackson's 3 home runs, and that was the game that made me a baseball fan. I just did not follow baseball at all as a little kid, and that game made me a baseball fan, watching on my black and white TV while my mom and my sister were dominating the color TV in the living room. And I watched it in my room, and I was like, oh, my God, this is awesome. And I can't imagine how many new baseball fans were won over by what Shohei Ohtani did, which was far more impressive than Reggie Jackson. 3 home runs, and he had 10 strikeouts in the game as well. Just absolutely crazy stuff. And that was going to be my follow-up. Is like, really, it's great the Jays and the Mariners are laying out here in the ALCS, but does anybody really have a chance against Ohtani and the Dodgers in the World Series?
Yeah, I really expected a lot more out of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's a team that plays much like the Blue Jays. They're very, very similar. And if that blueprint, isn't working for the Mariners, for the Brewers against the Dodgers, will it work for the Blue Jays against the Dodgers? The one plus is the Blue Jays will have home field advantage. After they take care of Seattle and they get to the World Series, they will have home field advantage for the World Series. So maybe that's what's going to help. And John Schneider getting a wake-up call. And, oh, my God, what a brutal decision, Steve. I still can't. That brutal decision. Oh, stupid.
Well, I mean, you see, you're speaking of the Little decision, and if you looked at his, they put up the graphic about Little's previous 21 appearances going back to August, just garbage. And he spoke like, he had all the faith in the world in him. Like, why would you, based on those stats? He was playing like garbage, and you brought him in anyway. But, you know, the game before, everybody was celebrating the exchange with Scherzer and how that worked out beautifully. So, you know, you're always going to be second guessed when things don't go well. But that seemed like one that, you know,
come on.
Any Monday morning anybody could just say, okay, that's little, no, often yes. But
for all you Blue Jay fans that are our age, the last time you might have paid any attention to the Blue Jays, in that situation, it was Dwayne Ward, Tom Henke. Done. Like that. We're through 7. Wardo gets the 8th. Henke gets the 9th. Game over. Like, it was that simple. It was that simple. It was Dominguez and it was Hoffman. Game over. Just whatever order you want to play them in, get it done. Brutal. Yeah, and to tie it back into our show and our reasoning, I compared it to Travis Green with 1:49 to play, putting Clevin and Spence on the ice with what it should have just been pair 1, pair 2, game over. Just crazy decisions.
Put the Sens closers in, especially when you've been struggling to hold on to leads. Make sure you get that point. Because the way the season is going, if the Sens get there, it's going to be tight. Because not only are they off to a slow start, other teams are off to fast ones. Other teams have improved in the Atlantic. We went through it earlier. But anyway, hopefully the Blue Jays do get there. And we'll be talking about the Jays in the next episode as well. And we'll talk more about the Sens as their next game is coming up on Tuesday as Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers pay a visit. McDavid off to and the Oilers off to just an okay start, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll call it quits right there. Don't forget that our website is sensnationhockey.com. Please check out the Hockey News Ottawa Senators site. I'm the editor over there, and lots of great stories to kill some time with. thn.com/Ottawa, and thanks to everybody watching on YouTube, listening on CJRO Radio, and wherever you get your podcasts. Gregg, enjoy the Blue Jays, enjoy the Sunday NFL, and we'll talk to you in our next episode.
For sure. See you, buddy.
Thanks for being with us on the Jim K. Ford Sens Nation podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe and review. Share the show with your friends and followers, or become a member on Patreon. Check out our website today at sensnationhockey.com.